So if I wanted to go about making a formula in JMP, the way I could do that is first I create a new column, and you do that by double-clicking on any of the empty columns. And then let's say, I want this column to be, 2 times all of the values in this x1 column. So it's going to be all these x1 values, but multiplied by 2, okay? So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this column, and I'm going to do that by right-clicking up here at the top, and I'm going to then click on column info, and I'll name it, 2 times that x1, okay? And then I want to create a formula that's going to take all these x1 values and multiply them by 2 and then throw them into this column, okay? So I can right-click up at the top again, go down to column properties, and then click on formula. And then what I can do is I can drag over x1 into this formula tab. Then I can hit this multiplication symbol, and I'll multiply it by 2, okay? Then I'll hit OK down here. And I've got this column here that's going to take, all my x1 values, multiply them by 2. That's what it's done, okay? Now, let's say I wanted to, create some z-scores in order to figure out, something about the distribution of this data. All right, the way I can do that is, create a new column, double-click, right-click at the top, and I'm going to go, call it z-score, okay? And then I'm going to create a formula for this z-score. So I'm going to, right-click again, go down to column properties, go up to formula, click on that, okay? And I'm going to widen this a little bit so that I can get over to the left side here, because that's what I need. So I'm going to go into this little statistical part here. So, I'm going to create z-scores for x1. You can do it for x2 too, but I'm just going to do it for x1. So if I wanted to make this z-score, the first thing I'm going to start out with is by doing a division sign, okay? And it'll make life so much easier later. So the first thing that you're going to drag into this now is in the numerator, you'll take your x1, and this is going to take each value x1, and then we're going to subtract away the column mean for x1, okay? And then we're going to divide by, our standard deviation. So it'll be all down here, our column standard deviation, and you can just click on those and it'll throw them into your formula, and then we can drag over our x1 over there. Okay, so that's going to give you all your z-scores. And if you're interested in knowing, how many of these z-scores are going to fall, say, within 1 standard deviation from the mean, okay? So we can create another formula in another column. So we're going to double-click, and, I'm not going to name this column, but I'm going to go into column properties, going to make it a formula, okay? And what we can do this time is, we can try and figure out whether or not these are going to be more than 1 or not, okay? So what we're going to go to is we're going to go to conditional, okay? And we're going to grab this if statement, and we're going to throw it into our formula, okay? So we'll have if some expression, then something else will happen in our column, okay? So our expression, I'm going to go into numeric, and I'm going to add this absolute value sign, okay? So it's going to be the absolute value of our z-score is, we'll say greater than 1, okay? Then we'll have an output value outside of 1 SD, okay? And then, if it's else means that, it's not greater than 1, so it's less than 1, then we'll say, value within 1 SD, okay? And I'm just using quotes so that JMP knows that this is text and it's not trying to interpret it as like a categorical variable or something, okay? Then I can hit OK, and boom, it gives me all that information.